Everybody's good? Everybody's mics are on or off? By the authority vested in me, I hereby declare this meeting of the Conshohocken Borough Council duly open and ready to conduct any business that may come before it. This evening, before our regularly scheduled meeting, Council did have an executive session on legal and property matters. The first item on the agenda is under presentations. It's the Montgomery County Women's Center presentation. Mr. Craig Chua, is that correct? If you would like to come up.
Good evening. How are you today?
Good.
Doing well, thank you.
Good
Don't
evening.
mind, I will take my mask off while I talk. This evening I'm here just to provide a little bit of information regarding the Women's Center of Montgomery County. I am the Director of Systems Advocacy and Training for the Women's Center and the police liaison to our 51 police departments in Montgomery County. The Women's Center of Montgomery County has been providing domestic violence victims services since 1976. I've been with the Women's Center for about 14 months. My job as a systems advocate is to build relationships with groups like yourself, with police departments, mental health, street outreach, pantries, so that we're working together to advocate for not just domestic violence victims, but anyone that needs services in the county. Obviously, we focus on the domestic violence part of it. My job is in the police liaison area is to provide police department support with our permission slip program and our lethality assessment tool. So I recognize that you have a lot happening here tonight. So I'll just give you some basic information, and I don't want to keep it too long. But we do have a 24-hour hotline staffed by our 22 staff and over 100 volunteers. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, a domestic violence victim can reach out for resources, empowerment, and crisis help if needed. We are not a shelter model, but we do shelter and find emergency housing in hotels, with family, with friends, however we need to find help in that crisis situation. Beyond the crisis, we have an office in the Montgomery County Courthouse where our advocates will assist people, both men and women. We served over 4,000 victims last year. 512 of them were men. So they can come into the courthouse and have assistance in writing a narrative and attempting to get a protection from abuse order if possible. So we can encourage them, we can walk them to the system, we can navigate and assure them that they're going to get the assistance they need when they're there, because it's a scary system if you're a victim. Beyond that, if you do get a PFA, we can follow up for 3 years with people. And again, it's working with them, providing them support groups, providing peer counseling. In your packets, I provided you with a list of our services. I provided you with a power and control wheel, signs of abuse, just basic information so that you know and you can share it as needed. And therefore, go from there. Our other offices in the county are in Pottstown, Norristown, Wyncote, Bryn Mawr, and Colmar. So we are spread out throughout the county so that people can get services in any area of the county that they need. One of the important things that our advocates do is empower people to sign up for things like victims assistance programs, registration for PA Savin, so they're notified if an offender is coming out or being transferred or would be putting them in danger. So along with that, our advocates are a dedicated group of people. One of our founding mothers is 93 years old, and she still comes into the office on Mondays. She drives herself there. She gets on the hotline. She uses her iPhone. Sometimes we talk about that, but it's a dedicated group of people, most of whom don't get paid, but will cover the hotline 24 hours a day and assist any victims from the beginning of a victimization to the end. So if you have any questions or concerns, I can answer them. Two of the important things in your packet, though, which hopefully we'll have a chance to talk with Chief Metz about in the near future, are our lethality assessment program, which is a tool for police officers to use if they're repeatedly going out to one victim, where they can ask a few questions, take a few moments, and say, are you being victimized in these ways? You're at high risk of being killed today. So let's make a call. Let's make a call to the Women's Center and connect you with services. The point of lethality assessment and permission slip program is to connect people to services. If police departments, while on site, knowing full well they have enough to do when they're there, if they can take a few minutes and do a lethality or do a permission slip, 83% chance that they will not be called back to that residence. So that's an ongoing factor that we are trying to connect people to services. Victims often don't want to leave. It often takes up to 7 times for them to leave. So we can keep going back, keep offering services, and hopefully they'll respond. If we get a permission slip from your police department, we have a better opportunity of reaching out. Confidentiality is different with victims of domestic violence. We can't cold call them. We can't have an officer call and say, Craig, can you please call Mrs. Smith? She will talk to you if you call. We can't. But if you can have her sign a permission slip, then we can call her. And she may speak to us. She may not. She may not speak to us that day. She may speak to us another day. But the advocates will be there and they will continue to try. But we need the permission to do so. And if we have a lethality and someone sees that they have a very high risk of being killed, they may change their mind that day. So that's about what I have. I know you're very busy tonight, so I wanted to say thank you. And hopefully you'll have a chance to look at the information that I provided you. And if there's any questions, my card is on there. And we'll continue reaching out for as long as we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Craig, I just wanted to say Craig's been participating in a series of women's self-defense classes, most recently at the Lunity Post. So thank you for already doing outreach with our residents. It's much appreciated.
And thank you for getting me involved in more so in Conshohocken. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Craig, just a quick question. Do the services also include elder abuse, or do you make a referral for elder abuse?
We do. We can make referrals, and we do have specific referral groups agencies that we refer to. We have, like I said, support groups, LGBTQ+. I didn't want to look at my notes while I was talking.
No, that's okay.
But, LGBTQ+ services. We have a community education department that goes into the schools from elementary school all the way up through college. So we have a primary prevention and awareness department. We have a director of housing who will help anyone in an emergency, and then with ongoing needs for housing and attempts to continue with making sure people are safe in a crisis and then thereafter.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
The next item on the agenda is the Main Street Overlay District Ordinance Proposal. Judy Goldstein from Gilmore & Associates. Good evening, Judy.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me to come tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. In your packets, you should have a memo of proposal from our company for planning services to prepare a Main Street Overlay District ordinance. The proposal outlines the methodology we'll follow, but I think it's most important just to take 1 minute and explain why we're doing it. It's really implementation from the 2018 comprehensive plan. And for anyone who wasn't here during that process, just a couple quick things. One of the main goals of the comprehensive plan, the one specifically dealing with economic development, was to sustain and enhance the economic vitality of the borough while maintaining the historic small town character and uniqueness, which this proposal would certainly meet. And then, just briefly, in the future land use plan, some of the major goals were to encourage redevelopment, adaptive reuse, and/or infill development compatible with the scale and historic nature of Fayette Street specifically. Review and amend current zoning ordinance regulations to provide greater opportunities for adaptive reuse and/or infill development of existing buildings and structures. And one that I think really hits the heart of what we're looking at. Examine opportunities and develop methods for improving pedestrian movement along Fayette Street, i.e. diversity of shops along the entire length of the corridor. And also revise the zoning ordinance to be generally consistent with the comp plan. And in the comp plan, we have that business and commercial corridor, the entire length up to the beginning of that, up to 9th Avenue. So with those premises, the methodology, background and review goals with study committee, make sure everything is still current and relevant. Community engagement, we're including up to 6 meetings with staff and/or study committee, and a public session, which could be a workshop, a forum, key person interviews. We'll develop that methodology with the study committee for this specific study. Existing conditions analysis, things have changed since 2018, since we've last done that analysis on the corridor. We want to make sure we have current information. Identify and prioritize options, and then develop methodology, create the draft ordinance, public hearing and adoption process. Sounds simple.
So how long approximately, and I know this is just really a guess, does that simple process normally take?
In some places, it takes 3 or 4 years. Other times, it can be about a 4 to 5 month process, plus the time to advertise and adopt, which would add another minimum 45 days on the end.
Okay.
We're looking this year.
Okay.
That is the goal.
Okay. Anyone on council have a question for Judy?
So Judy, are you,
Oh, sorry. Like disembodied voice.
are you looking to structure this similar to how we put the task force together for the comprehensive plan, where we would have a working group of key stakeholders who would be really the primary team kind of running with it?
Yes, we're looking for it to be a study committee, and that composition would be determined by the borough. It could include borough staff members, could include council member, could include other members of your boards and commissions, but certainly does need to include someone from the business community, at least. And we're looking for the borough to determine who they want. We can certainly assist with, profile.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But just like the comp plan, this needs to be homegrown from the borough. We're assisting and facilitating and using our knowledge to create what you need for the end result, but it won't work if we're imposing our thoughts on the borough.
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming in this evening
Thank you for having me.
and look forward to working with you.
I look forward to being back in Conshohocken, so thank you.
Okay. The next item on the agenda under presentations is electric vehicle charging station presentation with Eliza Lanzuti. Good evening, Eliza.
Good evening to all of you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here tonight to present and consider a project the Environmental Advisory Council have been working on for those past few months. This project is a very important step for our community to promote awareness on non-fuel combustion transportation options and to equip our community with the type of infrastructure those options needs. The project will also be a first tangible step to implement the resolution number 14, 2019, to support the Borough vision for a 100% clean renewable energy future that was approved in 19 of June 2019. So let's get started. Our goal here is reducing the emission related to the transportation sector, And we are achieving that by incentivize the electrical vehicles usage that provided to be more effective than traditional fuel power vehicle transportation on this aspect. However, electrical vehicles do not have yet an organized infrastructure available, such gas stations, like traditional vehicles do have. And there is a need to strategically locate those charging points in our community to create a reliable network. This operation can be approached in phases, and tonight we are focusing on phase 1, which address public charging stations on municipal properties. And other 2 phases, as you can see from the pyramid over there, are phase 2 related to a possible municipal fleet or parking related to workspaces or commercial areas. And phase 3 will be the residential sector, both for multifamilies or single-family situations. And those are not part of tonight's presentation, only phase 1. We have started this process by analyzing our community, and in the small map, probably it's very small, but there are plenty of blue dots that represent the projected number of charging stations needed in the future. This map was taken from the DVR PC website. They do study what's going on and try to understand and project what we will need in the future. Some red dots that are very sporadic here and there are the current installed stations. And when we look into this, at that time, we discovered that there were active 80 permits for charging stations in our community, promoted by developers or just private residents. So we investigated this topic with Robert Graff from the Delaware Valley Region Planning Commission, and also we discussed extensively with Public Work. So you will see in the big map all the locations that we have identified initially and discussed in terms of feasibility, cost, limitations in doing this. And also we connected with the Department of Environmental Protection, their energy department, to see what was available in terms of financing this operation. So then we moved to explore which type of technology we need to be installed in public locations. And we identified the level 2 type of charging station. So level 1, for you to know, is the one that you plug in any outlet and takes forever to charge a car. And level 2 is the mostly used either in common home environment, but also public location and workplaces. It will charge a car for 10-25 miles range in 1 hour charge. And then there is the third one that we are not considering tonight, but for you to know, is the fast charging. The photo was taken just on Ridge Pike between Dunkin' Donuts and the Vase supermarket. So as you can see, for 2 charging stations, there is a lot of equipment associated that for level 2, it will not be required. So we are looking at the level 2 charging station, and specifically 2 locations. The first location will be that we evaluated is the parking garage recently built on 100 West Elm Street. I have a photo over here. And the second location is just outside this building with the access from West 5th Avenue, and is the parking for this building's employee, I believe. So we came up with only those 2 locations. for multiple reasons. First of all, because we narrowed down the scope and we discussed that it could be interesting to have this as a pilot project and see how it goes with those two locations. If the residents react positively to this, if visitors are using this service, this does not necessarily reflect the real needs in a number of years to come, but is a good starting point. And so, yeah, the second location you can see is on the left. Should be 1 or 2 parking spots on that parking lot. So we also come up with those 2 locations for problems related to the feasibility that we encounter in all other locations explored. So snow removal was one of the factors. We want to make sure we are locating those charging stations and they don't get damaged by the vehicles when they remove the snow. We discussed that parallel parking versus parking lot facilities is more difficult to manage to extend the cord of those charging stations. So being able to park in front of the charging station is much safer. And also we discussed about how long extending the line, the power line from a power source to where we want to install the charging station with possible trenching or disruption of sidewalks. So we come up with those 2 locations for all those reasons, and also because they are in proximity to attraction or places where people in our community will go, like restaurants or people coming for meetings at this location. They are all accessible for visitor, residents, and any person with any type of disability, and they can be flexible, so can be used during the day by the employee or people working nearby, and during the night by residents in those areas. And another key point of this is creating awareness. We would like to make sure we communicate that we have this service available for the people visiting our community or living here, and we would like to start at least with 2 locations without shooting for a much bigger target, but at least have 2 and pop up in those app and all maps that people with electric vehicle check looking for charging station opportunities. Next, we look into financing opportunities, and this is the level 2 charging rebate available at this time. This is going to change. This has changed since last summer. Last summer it was $500 more convenient. They are lowering the rebate based on the fund available, and this program is running out. So we believe this is the current situation, and depending on if this idea is interested for the municipality, this could be achievable, but we need to keep an eye on those numbers. They might change. And also, those rebates can be applied for equipment acquisition, installation, and maintenance as well. There is another financing opportunity that needs to be considered, but we didn't look too much into it yet. The bipartisan infrastructure law connected to the EV charging action plan recently released. There could be more there to explore. So we also added few links, including the DVRPC website link, because there is so much out there in terms of information. But if there is any specific topic or detail that you might need to consider, please let us know, and we will provide you any additional information. And I would like to thank you so much for the opportunity to present tonight, and I'm available for questions.
Anyone on council have any questions for Eliza?
Liza, once the units are installed, what is the cost of maintenance over the course of 5 years, 10 years that we would be looking at?
So that is something that at this point we did not determine yet because there are many options out there. So the charging station we are talking now are networked. The opportunity to do the non-network charging station is no longer available. So there are third-party companies that provide 24/7 assistant maintenance options of payment through different apps, phones, and stuff, and they might charge differently based on the preference that you might explore at that time. So I believe if you want to move forward with this project, there will be a phase where different company providing that service can be evaluated to see what best fit the needs of this community or this project. What was discussed is the fact that at this point, the revenue that comes in from charging for this energy is not much that will necessarily cover the cost of maintenance, but it's possible that if you increase the number of charging stations, there could be I don't know, because of the number, there could be an agreement or something like that. And it's something that is kind of starting, so in evolution in a way.
Thank you.
I have a question. Did you want to go first?
You can go first.
Are there two different types of charging stations that you're looking to put in? Because I know different cars use different charging stations.
So we are looking at any level 2 charging station, and we are not specifically targeting a brand. The one we were considering or looking into should be a universal type that can be used by the majority of the cars available. There might be the opportunity to partner with one specific brand and see if they want to sponsorize their own charging station, maybe for their own vehicles. But that is something, the idea was targeting most brand possible, most vehicle possible to expand this opportunity to all people.
Eliza, I know the technology is newer. In your research, did you look at claims or litigation from hazards or safety issues of the different types of charging stations?
Yeah, so the consideration of parallel parking versus parking where you park and your car is in front of the charging station, that was one that we discussed, because in all of them right now you have to extend cable to reach the front of your car. So we don't want that to happen in a location where this cable will cross the sidewalk or this kind of situation. So for that reason, we specifically we are looking at those locations. I think there is a huge problem when it comes maybe for residential location where you have a very dense residential area and people start pulling cords through the sidewalk. For those let's say with that configuration is less an hazard. We don't know if in the future there will be anything charging the car, the battery of the car from the bottom, like without any cord. That technology, I believe, is for now just something we dream about. But I've seen those charging stations in multiple township parking lot or parks, and for now they seems to be the mostly used and available. Other consideration on hazard, I'm not aware.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Eliza, so this has been many months in the making, this presentation. One of the things we learned as we were talking to all our staff here is actually when it comes to stage 2, we are electrifying the borough fleet, so that's already in process. So we've already made progress on that front as well.
Yeah, that is a great news, and I think those rebates are also available for phase 2 and for the fleet, for municipal fleet. So, and the good thing is that if you want to move forward with phase 2 or phase 1, you can add the application. There is a limit, but not for now, I would say. And you can add on different phases as you go. I feel there might be more financing opportunity coming in the future. Those are interesting at this point if we are looking at location where it's not incredibly expensive installing the charging station, because those costs might go close to what is needed to implement the project. And then we are looking to see if there are more traction in the future and more opportunity to evolve this concept even more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eliza.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is land use matters, public hearings, and ordinances. The first item is a preliminary final land development application for 263 East Elm Street. Craft Custom Homes is the applicant. And I will turn this over to Mr. Peters.
Thank you, President Leonard. So, Britt, could you?
Yes.
I'll point at them. They're actually out in the hallway,
Thank
so I'll give them
you.
a chance to come in. All right, thank you very much, President Leonard. So this is the project at 263 East Elm. It is a 21-unit condo development. As you'll recall, because it was before you in June 2021 for conditional use approval, there are 42 on-ground parking spaces. They're proposing 5 scissor lifts, and then they're also proposing to outfit all the spaces for wiring for scissor lifts and appropriate with your last conversation for electric vehicle charging stations. So with that, I will turn it over to the applicant's attorney to introduce the project and remind you what it's all about.
Mind if I take my mask down?
Nope.
Hi, good evening. Deborah Shulsky with the firm of Riley, Viper, Holland, Collie, Greco here on behalf of the applicant, who was Craft Custom Homes, but they just recently closed on the property the end of January, so now the ownership is Maximum Craft LLC. And as the solicitor indicated, I'm sure you're all very familiar with this property. We've been before you several times with sketch plans at the time of conditional use, which was approved in July of this year. We then had to proceed for zoning hearing board, and we've received the zoning hearing board relief. We then engineered the plans, had them submitted, and we've been going back and forth on several reviews with the engineer and with all your professional consultants. We were recently before the Planning Commission. They made a favorable recommendation in support of the plan. We have very clean review letters, in our opinion. Everything is will comply. We're happy to go through the plan again, but I know you've seen it a number of times, so if you have any questions for us regarding the review letters or any of the waivers, we're happy to answer those questions.
Stace?
Yeah, I have a question for you. I was on Planning Commission previously when this project came up, and we had talked about the option of having all these parking spaces hooked up with scissor lifts. Is that going to be the case? Because we talked about it was just going to be another couple feet to
Right.
create that space in the garage. I was wondering
Right.
where
So
that stood on the project.
There are, and maybe I'll turn it over to Brian Alexacki, there are some scissor lifts that we're going to be providing, but I don't think all of them are accommodating it.
You're
or-
required to wire them all under your
Oh,
conditional
right.
use approval.
Yes, so that
Yeah.
will be done.
And Stacy, what you're referring to, it was the additional height to
Correct.
allow it, and they did get the approval
We did,
for that
yeah.
additional
Excellent.
height.
Thank you.
We did, yep.
Does anyone else on council have a question?
I guess my only question is the concern that the Montgomery County Planning Commission also raised about the safety, pedestrian safety. what kind of plans are in place to address the concerns of pedestrian and cyclist safety along Hector Street and Poplar Streets?
Just pull up that letter. I'm sorry, I don't remember that specific comment from the Planning Commission.
It's from the county.
The county, yeah, from the county Planning Commission. Where's Nick at? You don't have that letter on you?
We have it. Tina, you have that pulled up, right?
Yeah, so basically, they recommended the applicant provide a revised plan that provides safety improvements and addresses the conditions placed upon the development by the borough for
Okay, so-
pedestrian scaling and lighting.
I mean, we're providing some very generous landscaping and lighting improvements along there, as well as sidewalks. Obviously, there'll be streetscape amenities that we think will definitely be beneficial for pedestrian access and crossing that will be safe. Everybody's reviewed it. I know the township engineer and all the other zoning officer and all the other consultants, and I'm not aware that anybody has a concern specifically relating to pedestrian safety.
Well, the comment mentioned about like a flashing light to let people know that a car is on its way out. I see them a lot downtown
Okay.
because you don't have a lot of time there for them pulling out of the parking lot. They're going to be on the sidewalk before they can see if there's anybody coming or not coming. That
Do you want to address that, Brian, or?
Ryan Alexacki, or the product line, I know.
Good evening.
So as far as lighting, all lighting requests have been accommodated through review letters to date. I am not opposed at all to adding some type of flashing light or system to the exiting garage. What I will say is through the review process, I don't know if originally it was one way in and one way out, or entrance and exit on both Poplar and Elm Street.
Correct.
It is now an entrance and an exit only. So the concern would then be for just the exit area, to your point, as the car is coming out, to make sure the pedestrians know that something will be there. But 100%, willing to do whatever we have to do to make sure that it's safe access for pedestrians crossing down the sidewalk.
Yeah, we're just close to the bike path there and knowing the utilization.
And which street is the exit on? I know I read it, but just,
It's Poplar, right?
Poplar? Is it on, it's on Poplar?
It's on Poplar. And then a condition of the plan is after 75% occupancy, we do have to do a traffic study.
Correct.
And as part of that traffic study, we do meet the requirements for two-way traffic through the entire garage.
Okay.
So if the entrance or exit was recommended to be adjusted or changed, that's something that could be accommodated.
Okay.
I think at this point, if that is a concern that you would like our traffic engineer to review in terms of the exit, then we would ask him to review it prior to the resolution coming in front of you in 2 weeks to determine whether or not some sort of flashing beacon is a recommendation.
I'm sure the concern with the beacon's going to be the lumens and surrounding area.
Right.
Correct.
Right, but what I will say is if you notice, it's only a 4-foot-high wall which covers the headlights, so you will have, the person exiting the garage or people on the sidewalk will have visual access into the garage and at that corner. So it's not like it's an unobstructed
Right.
view from a sight distance triangle. But again, if some type of,
Even if it's not a flashing beacon, if you just want the topic revisited by your professional to review
Yes.
prior to it being in front of you to determine if a condition needs to be added to the resolution.
I would like that,
Okay.
just for that. That's the only concern that I have based on the density and how tight it is down there and the use.
That's no problem. And then if there's anything, we'll include you in that correspondence.
Sure.
Okay.
Adrian, are you okay with that since that's down in your ward?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming in this evening. Thank you for your presentation again. It was nice to see you all again, and I'm assuming that no one else on council has any more questions. So we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
thank you very much, guys.
Thank
Have
you.
a great night.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is discussing and consider authorizing advertisement of an amendment to the borough's solicitation ordinance, and I will again turn this over to Mr. Peters.
Thank you, President Leonard. You have a solicitation ordinance, and that's the ordinance that addresses, for example, house-to-house marketing and peddling of that nature. You had a provision in your solicitation ordinance that you have not been enforcing. You may have never actually enforced it, which was a fingerprinting requirement that the police department would undertake a fingerprinting procedure, and if there are any concerns identified, they would be addressed thereby. That procedure, in addition to not being enforced by the borough, has also been held by courts throughout the Commonwealth to be invalid, so we want to take the time to actually take it out of your ordinance as we review all your ordinances. So before you this evening is an ordinance that very simply takes out that one requirement, which was a requirement that there be a fingerprinting procedure, and that's it. The ordinance is relatively straightforward.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Peters.
You're welcome.
So the motion for this item would be to authorize advertisement of an amendment to the borough solicitation ordinance. Can I have a,
I'll make the motion to advertise.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And the last item is just a cleanup item. Sorry, you didn't introduce it yet.
I will do that for you,
Sorry.
Mr. Peters.
Thank you.
The next item is zoning ordinance codification update in the RO district. Mr. Peters.
Thank you very much, President Leonard. So, as you know, Section 27-1202.5 of your zoning ordinance is no longer valid, but your E-Code, which is the company that you work with for codification, still has it on their website. We ran into this recently where your zoning officer had gotten an application where that section could apply. We have to get it taken off your website. So the way that we're doing that, at your last meeting, you authorized advertisement of a zoning ordinance addressing notification, as you'll recall. So all we're doing administratively is including this in that ordinance so that when it gets sent up to E-Code, they'll know to take it off the online codification. So there's no need for a vote tonight. It's just FYI, when it comes back before you, you're going to see a new section, but all it does is fix the codification issue.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Peters.
You're welcome.
The next item under council business is conducting interview for borough boards and commission vacancies. The first person for interview would be Brianna DePaul for Friends of Conshohocken Parks. Good evening, Brianna.
Hello.
How are you this evening?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. So, Brianna, why do you want to serve on Friends of Conshohocken Parks?
So, it's really important to me to be involved in the community. I'm in my late 20s, and I feel like there are other people in my age group who want to get involved, but don't really know how to get involved. So, I'm taking the plunge to try to get everyone involved. I have experience in nonprofits, so I feel like this is the best way for me to get involved because it's an area that I already know.
Great.
Yeah.
Do you have a fundraising background, Brianna?
I do. So I currently volunteer for another local nonprofit, and I do all of their social media. In 2021, I myself raised $25,000 for them, just through our social media platforms. So I know all of the little tips and tricks on how to get your followers to donate rather than the old school way and just having to do it at events and things like that. So that's something that I've already brainstormed a few ideas and worked with Holly to share at the next meeting.
Great.
Great. Anyone else on council have a question for Brianna? Go ahead, team.
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. So your top priority if you became a member would be?
My top priority would be to get more people involved and more people aware of the events that are happening. I also think it's super important for younger individuals in the community to kind of have a voice and what they feel about the parks, because they have great ideas too. And I think
Right.
working together and hearing those ideas is going to make the difference and make the change. Kind of just get a fresh new outlook and combined everything together.
Okay. Thank you, Brianna. Does anyone else have any questions?
Brianna, is there any particular issue or something that you're looking to accomplish?
The one thing that I have heard a lot and voiced a lot, and it doesn't pertain to me just because I'm not a dog owner. So ever since the change with the dog park, a big thing people I know are really interested in is in off-season. For now, for example, where Sutcliffe isn't being used by baseball, basketball, whatever it may be, for people to allow their dogs there every once in a while in that off-season, even if it's a certain area, to stay on the trail, certain sections, because those are the people that are using the parks too, and that middle demographic where maybe you're not there with your kids, but you have your puppy. That is your kid, so you want to be out and about. And now that there's not really that designated space, that's something a little bit more important. Because what I see now, I think maintaining the parks so that when we do start to have children, they are very nice parks. And that is something that is important. And I'm a school teacher, and I know it's very important for kids to be outside and playing, especially now to get off of the screens. So that's another reason why I want to be involved, because I want to have a say in one day when my children are playing on those parks.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in this
You're
evening, and thank
welcome.
you for
Have a
your
good night.
interest.
Yes, thank you.
Did you have a question? The next person for interview is Christine Dempsey for the Friends of Conshohocken Parks and the Planning Commission. Good evening, Christine.
Hi, good evening.
How are you this evening?
Doing fine. How about everyone else?
We're good.
Good.
So thank you for your interest in the Friends of Country Parks and the Planning Commission. So why would you like to serve as a member on either of these committees?
Yeah, great question. So I live in Conshohocken now. I've lived here about 4 years. I'm really passionate about this town, though I'm kind of a transplant. Part of my goal here is to just get involved and to establish myself a bit more permanently. I have about 15 years of corporate finance experience, and I'd really like to understand a bit more how the public sector works. So I'm interested to kind of ingrain myself and help improve even day-to-day life, to understand like the legislative process a bit better, and just to have a better understanding and aid in any way that I can.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have you had the opportunity to sit in on any planning commission meetings, and what is kind of your idea that would be kind of your passion?
Yeah, so I've sat in on a meeting of the Parks Committee, not of the Planning Committee yet. And the intention there was to just, again, feel the waters, see where I could contribute. I really enjoyed the Parks Committee. I see a lot of the value that they're adding, especially in terms of generating funds and controlling those funds and really making sure they're allocated in the correct places. So I think I could contribute from a financial perspective. And then just being a member of the community, I think I have a good understanding of what hits. Talking to Bree out there was really interesting. Like I could feel some synergies already when it comes to the creative and then to like execution. So yes, the parks, not yet the planning.
Okay.
And the intention here is to join one of those committees.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, I have a question. You heard the lady talk about the Main Street overlay. Would you be interested in participating in that? And I mean, if you're on the Planning Commission, what would be your vision for the Main Street?
For the stoplight?
For like the Main Street is, Fayette Street from.
Right.
Do you see improvements that you would like to see?
I don't know if she
There are-
may have been in the lobby.
Yeah,
Oh,
our
okay.
interview
Oh, I'm
team-
sorry. Were you outside?
I'm sorry, yeah, I sat
Oh,
out there, I
okay.
wasn't sure.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
but if you don't mind, a brief overview.
Well, we're looking to get to improve the main street, the Fayette Street
Yeah.
through town. And as part of the planning commission, what vision would you have for that? Or
Ooh.
anything?
It's a great question. So
Sorry.
I
didn't
see it
realize
from
you
a
weren't
lot
here.
of different perspectives, though, just to kind of,
Right.
I spend a lot of time at the restaurants. I'm actually an avid runner. I run on Fayette every morning, so I'm trying to look to see if I see any familiar faces. But I've noticed just little things like improvement in the roads, like basic things like painting. A lot of the crosswalks are a little overdone, but, or maybe a little outdated, but making it more pedestrian friendly, at least down by the bridge side, making some of, I guess, making it more of a pull from pedestrians, so that, I guess that would more involve storefronts.
I'm
but,
sorry, I didn't
yeah.
realize you weren't in the room when she was talking.
No, it's okay.
That's
I wish I would have sat in, yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for Christine? Okay. Well, thank you for your interest in both committees, Christine. We truly appreciate your coming in this evening.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
You're
Have a good one.
welcome. Stephanie, don't we have one more?
No, we had two individuals, so unfortunately, we're not able to attend this evening.
Okay. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is under Manager Matters, on Department Matters, and the first is a discussion on the updated Borough Typical Details booklet. Mr. Williams, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, President Leonard.
How are you this evening?
I'm doing well, thanks. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about the typical details booklet and some of the changes that we made to the booklet. So the booklet is basically a guide for homeowners, contractors, and developers to show them acceptable construction practices that the borough has reviewed and will find acceptable in practice. Some of the changes that we made were pretty standard. We updated the language to meet PennDOT's current standards, which was updated in 2021. We added 2 ADA ramp details, a type 1 and a blended transition ramp that were taken from PennDOT's road construction standards. We updated the street degradation detail, added references to the borough's current fee schedule. We also added references to the fee schedule for ADA ramp review and inspection fees. And we added a detail for a drainage swale through an intersection, which is illustrative only and will still require design and review by the borough engineer. And I will note that the typical details does not absolve contractors and developers from any review or inspection requirements. So basically what we're asking is for you guys to approve that this updated booklet be appended to the E-code.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Williams? Thank you. Thank you for coming in this evening, Tyler.
Very much.
The next item on the agenda is discuss and consider authorizing advertisement of an ordinance to adopt the 2018 International Building Code and the 2018 International Property Maintenance Code. Mr. Sokolowski, you could come up.
This is very simple and quick. The building codes, every 3 years, they update them, the ICC, the International Code Council. The state has adopted the 2018 codes, and we are an opt-in community, so we opt into all the state codes, and we have to update our ordinance in order to do so.
Thank you,
Okay.
Ray. Yes. So we'd be looking this evening a motion to authorize advertisement of an ordinance to adopt the 2018 International Building Code and 2018 International Property Maintenance Code.
And President Leonard, I'll note that that's the summary you saw in the ordinance, that it's a ton of codes
Yes.
that are being adopted, but thank you.
Yes,
I'll
we
make
did
that
get
motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is legal matters. The first item is consider approving Resolution 2022-06, authorizing the purchase of real estate property, specifically tax map parcel numbers, 05-00-03100-00-9, 05-00-11828-00-2, 05-00-04880-00-2, and 05-00-02100-00-1. Mr. Peters, I
Thank you,
will turn
President
that
Leonard.
over
And
to
if it's
you.
okay with you, President Leonard, I'll discuss the second matter, which relates to the same properties and the agreement of sale as well at the same time here. So
Thank you.
at your last meeting, you authorized the issuance of a term sheet for purposes of purchasing the properties identified by President Leonard. That term sheet has been executed both by the borough and by the seller. So we have now moved into the stage where you have before you a resolution approving the purchase as well as the agreement of sale for that purchase. The agreement of sale merely incorporates all of the terms set forth in the term sheet. It provides for a 30-day due diligence period. We have, based on your approval at the last meeting, already started the title review process, so we should have no issue meeting that 30-day timeline. And with that, President Leonard, the resolution itself authorizes the purchase of the property, the expenditure of funds for the property, and also authorizes your borough manager to execute such documents as are necessary to effectuate that purchase. So the first item is Resolution 2022-06, achieving those items.
Okay. Before we have a motion on that, is there any public comment this evening on this matter? Okay. So since there is no public comment, can I have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
And the second motion, President Leonard, would be to approve the agreement of sale that's incorporated into that resolution, and that is subject to the final review and approval of the borough manager and my office.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. Again, I will ask, is there any public comment for this motion this evening? With that, we would need a motion to approve an agreement of sale for real estate property, specifically. Oh God, I have to read them again.
You can, for purposes of the record, you can incorporate your prior recitation. That's
Okay, thank you. Kathleen will make the motion, and I have a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Stacy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is council member and mayor matters. Mr. Aronson?
Thank you, President Leonard. I think we all know about the hate speech vandalism that appeared in our community last week. Our local leaders, from elected officials to police chiefs to community leaders, all spoke up against what happened and in full support of our diverse community of residents. What the public may not have seen is how much work our staff put in internally to ensure our response was fast and effective. From the police investigation to outreach to the cemetery staff, to our volunteer firefighters and public works staff helping with the actual cleaning, the response to this incident, borough-wide and community-wide, should make all of us proud. As the sign in the picture says, which was placed during our community vigil, it didn't work, it brought us all together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Aronson. Ms. Ellen?
I have nothing tonight. Thank you, President Leonard.
Thank you. Ms. Barton?
Nope, I'm good, thanks.
No, thank you. Nothing.
Nothing.
I don't have anything this evening, thank you.
Tina?
Nothing from me?
Okay, nothing from me either. Ms. Chief, do you have anything this evening?
I do, in lieu of some recent events, just a reminder, you've heard me say it again, I said it before, I'll say it again. Two things we should always be doing: locking our cars and wearing our seatbelts. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief Metz. Is there anyone for public comment this evening? Okay.
We have the
Meeting-
St. Patty's Day Parade is coming.
It is the 12th, March 12th. Okay,
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
There you go.
And the run is before that,
In the morning,
10 o'clock?
10 o'clock in the morning, I believe.
Okay.
I think it actually might be later. I thought I saw it at 1 p.m., which it looked like it ran way too close. I'm not sure.
Parade's at 2, right?
Parade's
Yeah.
at 2, it can't be. Well,
Okay.
I'm not saying that it can't be.
All right, we'll check that
It'll take me
out.
about 5 hours to do that.
Yes. Yes, the candy is ordered.
We will have candy. And we can check the Borough website for the actual times of the run. So with that, I will say meeting adjourned.
Yeah, I had to drop out of the run because, like, when I was looking.